Good morning everybody. You'll notice I've not got my pack on. That's the falls there. Lassie, come back here. That's the falls. It's really unpleasant, blustery weather. So what we decided to do was to stay where we were, camp wise, and attempt a kind of a circular walk. I've put where the camp is on my watch, and basically we're going to walk from camp, obviously past the falls. We're going to go to Crowden Rock, and then we'll follow the footpath from Crowden Rock or Tower or whatever it's called back kind of around to the falls, because where we are in camp, it's as close to Fairbrook Naze as I'm going to get. You know, realistically, yes, tomorrow we could get marginally closer, but then, or tonight, but it's so close. It's just, and frankly, the weather's so miserable, it's not really worth packing up, carrying the pack, doing basically the same thing, because my original plan was to pack up, head around, and then try and find camp over that side a bit, but it's so windy, and when I checked the forecast yesterday, the winds were really quite strong for today, and where I've pitched and camped, it's really quite sheltered. I would never have known that it was this cold and windy from camp, to be honest with you. This is really cold and breezy. One thing's for absolute sure, keeping hands and fingers warm is really I think it's the number one challenge out here. And this isn't cold. It's starting to melt. I've not brought the weather thing with me, but it's probably about 2 degrees. Ice is starting to melt, but it is still frozen in places. So the wind chill, which is quite famous now, it seems to me, is quite chilly, I have to say. It has to be probably about -5 or something like that wind chill. It's definitely cold. I took my gloves off just for a couple of minutes, really, just to check my phone for a moment and get the GoPro set up. And just in that short time, my fingers, which weren't exactly warm in the first place, but they weren't as cold as they are now, cooled off, you know, quite a bit. So I think GoPro needs to be set up as much as possible in camp. Wow, it's so I think camp should be safe. First of all, you're not going to be able to see it from camp. It's a very hidden, sheltered spot. Like I said, from camp you wouldn't even know the weather was like this. It's ridiculous. Well, almost. When I got out of the trail star, it was a little bit blustery standing up, but I pitched it really low. I think I estimated today's walk was about 8 kilometers. I've got water with me, and there's lots of bloody stones around here, isn't there? I never know which is the best way to progress around here. Ooh. But yeah, my fingers, the rest of my body is not too bad. I've got a merino t-shirt on, I've got the Arrow shirt on, then I've got the Vaporize, and then this Paramo jacket with the hood up, and obviously the Paramo hat. I probably would have been better off with my other hat, because I like the Paramo hat, but the problem that I find with it is it drops down over my face. Anyway, I'm gonna stop talking and keep walking, because I think that's how I'm going to get a bit of warmth, especially in my fingers and hands, which just feel really numb. I think for me, fingers and hands are going to be the real problem. I'm going to have to learn to do more things with gloves on, because my fingers, they get so cold so quickly, and then they take ages to warm up. So anyway, I'm gonna attempt to turn the GoPro off. I don't know how long the battery will last. I've just brought literally just one walking pole, the GoPro as is, a bottle of water and some snacks. I really don't think we're going to get into any real difficulties up here, so I think that's plenty, because it's all just paths and everything, but it's a little bit of a mini adventure. It's a tiny adventure. I'll just show you the view so you're not just looking at me all the time. So at least we've got some view down there. I think we're slowly starting to warm up, but quite slowly. I can feel it's a really strange, it's a slightly unnerving, yeah, I would say it's like an unnerving feeling, because my body now feels quite warm. My feet are cool, not cold, but cool. My body now feels like it's comfortable, almost at the point where I could almost undo the jacket a bit. I won't for the moment, but just body is starting to warm up. Hands are still cold, but they're at that stage, especially the right one. I think the left one's a bit more normal. Still cold and recovering, but certainly more normal. The right hand just went numb. The fingers just went numb. Now the body is warming up. I can kind of feel the right hand tingling, and that really like uncomfortable, but at least you know that it's starting to warm up feeling. But it doesn't change the fact that it's a really uncomfortable, horrible feeling, and I don't know why, but it's just an unnerving feeling through the body. It's like I wouldn't say like a sickly feeling, but I don't know how to describe it. But I have to say I don't like it. It's probably good that I'm doing this, that I can get a bit used to that type of thing. Alright, well, I just wanted to stop and just talk about my fingers and hands, because like I said, I really think they're the Achilles heel of everything for me when it comes to cold. But we've got these guide gloves on. They're good for warming the hands up, but I'm starting to kind of sort of think they'll get too warm soon once they've warmed up. I've got my other gloves on me, so I can put them on. Okay, well, we took a small wrong turn somewhere, although you can't really go too far wrong up here, but we kind of ended on this little outcrop up here. If you know this area, you probably know where I am and what I've done. I was kind of coming down from the waterfall, and I want to get over to Crowden Head, which is about 2 kilometres that way, and somehow I followed this path down here. So we need to, I don't know how I did that. I was talking to a mum on the phone, so I think somehow I took a wrong turn somewhere, which is really odd, because we sure as hell weren't on all those. We didn't come in on these stones. Isn't that odd? I don't know where the bloody hell I came from. Over there somewhere. Or did I come along these stones? Maybe I did. I must have done. I was talking to my mum, so I wasn't really concentrating on where I was going. Oop. Although, to be fair, even if I hadn't have been talking, I probably would have just followed this path around here. And I'll keep a closer eye on navigation, but I really don't remember walking along these stones. I must have done. How absolutely bizarre. Okay, anyway, it's what happens when you're sort of chatting away and you're not concentrating on what's going on around you. I mean, I was walking safely, so I don't remember that ice there. I mean, that would be... what the earth did I do? How... That's really bizarre. It's like a QED moment. I arrived somewhere and I literally don't know how I arrived there, because I definitely wasn't walking on these stones. I'm sure I wasn't walking on these stones. It's like I've been transported or something. Really bizarre. I think I better check the map actually, just see what we're doing. Right, we're back on, but I don't know how I got, because I just don't remember these stones. It's really strange. Okay, all right. So we've got to head back this way and then take a right-hand turn. It's 1:30, 1:30, 1:30, 1:30. We've got 3 hours before dark. So I didn't bring the torch with me, but it's really not that far to go. But yeah, that's it's so weird. It really is weird. Anyway, all right, okay. Enough weirdness. Can't get much weirder than me. So we're going to head back this way, and then we've got to head over that way to Crowden Tower. Anyway, we're back on track. We need to be going in that direction, and then I think the path that we actually want is that one over there somewhere. You can see a couple of people walking on it, so, well, you can see people walking over there. I don't know whether that's the path we want or not, but probably is. I didn't bring my map or compass, which was maybe a bit silly, but I've got two phones on me, plus I've got my watch, and I've put on the watch camp, so you know, in an absolute emergency pinch, I just set that for a direct line straight back to camp. But we're fine. Suddenly, Lassie, it's just for a minute there, things seem to, we're getting back into that cold again. I think my warmer hat would have been better. We're following a path of sorts, but it's kind of like in the middle of nowhere. It's probably a path that people use when they get lost up here. So this is the I've got lost path, and there's obviously a few people that have taken this course to try and get back on the main path. We were supposed to have been on the main path the entire time. I really thought it was going to be like really simple, just following the main path, and somehow, although to be honest with you, it's really not a surprise that I somehow came off the main path. In fact, my little rescue path is kind of like in between a main path there and a main path there, and that might be no stool. I can't say for absolute sure, but it might be. I'll have a look at the map. I'll get my phone out and have another, I'll have another orientation of where, yeah, that's definitely no stall there. Yeah, that is definitely no stall there, because I recognise all this stuff around here. Okay, well, I don't know what it is with me and paths, but I was thinking, oh, I wonder if this is Crowden Head. People who know this area will know what this is, and it's wool packs, and there's obviously a pretty main path coming through here. I don't know if this is the main path on the map. The main path is the other side of wool packs, so I don't know if we've come off come off another path again. But anyway, this is wool packs, and you can see quite a decent view down the valley down there. There's definitely a few more bods up here today, but not that many, but a few. So Crowden Tower, I think, is going to be up into this valley up here, and then that's going to be our head back to camp. It's really quite slow going around here because, one, I keep taking the wrong paths, and two, you get to these sort of stone things and you kind of got to work your way around those, you know, these big stone boulder things. They're not the easiest of things, but it's good. It's good practice and exercise. So we're definitely picking up that wind here now. I took my gloves off for a bit because when there's no wind at all, it's actually quite warm. And then once that wind, once you get into that breeze, then you've got to get those gloves back on again pronto. All right, well that's obviously, oh, now we're walking into that way. Oh. Now we're walking into that wind. That would be fun, wouldn't it, if the wind picked up so much we couldn't get back to camp. Oh dear. Hobbs got blown off Kinder Scout thing. Oh. Alright. Well, we're slowly making our way back. This is quite windy. It would definitely be interesting to see what the audio is like on this, because I've got the trackie inside my coat, so that's probably blocking out the wind quite well. I just hope it's picking up my voice. Oh. But this, I'm guessing, must be Crowden Tower. Maybe we kind of finally got to Crowden Tower in a roundabout sort of way. Is that a path up there? Yeah, let's go up here. Whew. I won't be sorry to get back into camp. Okay. We're heading up here. There's a lot of paths up here. I definitely would say that if you're coming up this way, you definitely need to make sure you've got some mapping with you and a compass or something on your phone. And then how the hell do you get down there? We're going to have to try and get through that gap, I think. Ooh. Ooh. That's we could probably gone around there. Okay, so I'm thinking that we're going to go left up that valley, and then camp is kind of, let's go. Ooh. And you get this huge sort of drop down there, but if I stayed on the path, which is over there, that would help, wouldn't it? Okay, let's go back. Oh, let's go back this way. Oh God, sometimes I hate paths. Sometimes I hate paths because there are so many different paths. Sometimes you've got this nice easy path here. I'm very sure, I will double check, but I think that's the valley that we need going up there, and then camp is the other end. Oh, it gets the old nosy, this. You can see Crowden Head up there, there's the steps down, and then this is the stream here, and we're following this path here. Bizarrely, someone else is going up this way. I don't know where they're going. Anyway. Yep. Ooh, there's a bit of snow and ice, well, ice around here. That wind is, that's a nasty wind in places, but looks quite a decent path. I mean, the path is on the map too, although not all paths are on maps, are they? Even when they put a path there, they're not. It's more a right of way or something. Come on, let's see. Come on, you've had loads in the water. Alright, so we've got to go up the valley, across the top, and then down the other side. Oh, it's really quite boggy up here. It's a good job it's mostly frozen, because there's a few bits up here. Just over there, I've gone past it now, but I don't know how you would cross that. You have to come around this way. You know, you can see Crowden Head over there. It's about 2.5 to 3 kilometers back to camp, and hopefully camp is still there. I would be quite surprised, somewhat disappointed if it wasn't. Like I said, it's very well hidden, and I think everyone's going to be, for the most part, sticking to this path. And to be honest, I think someone who's out here walking and saw a camp Ooh. Now that path is going over that way, and my instinct is saying that we need to be going, unless it's going around, which I suppose is possible. Let's go this way, but I have to say my instinct is saying this is the wrong way, but but maybe people know something I don't, and maybe it will swing around. Yeah, there's some more bog there. Well, the GoPro ran out of battery, so I've switched over to this is the iPhone. So I'll just hold it and just show you. So this is kind of the top of our valley here, and the water is kind of slowly flowing down that way. I've checked the mapping again, and we're making good progress. We're really not that far to go now. I mean, I think it was like less than a kilometre. We're nearly at camp. So we've obviously come along here. We're heading down there and just over there. So if you're down in the valley, you're not going to see it. If you're walking across the top, then you can see the trail star just over there. So when that man was walking across over there, he may have seen it. But, you've got to know it's there. So we'll head back down that way and then over there to camp. It's 3:15. It's 3:15, so we'll get there about 3:15. It's 3:15. We'll get there in the next 5-10 minutes, depending on when we get going from here. But yeah, it's been an enjoyable walk around. I mean, given that we left at 12 o'clock, it's taken over 3 hours to get around. We haven't exactly gone that far, and we haven't really stopped either, but it's taken a little bit of time. I just use the phone around camp in case I forget tomorrow or I get cracking. So we'll just do this video now. So I've raised the door a little bit from last night, not very much, but a little bit. It's quite breezy, but it really is quite sheltered here, because you've got this big bank of wall up there, so it's giving us a lot of shelter from the wind down here. I've got the trail star pitched quite low to the ground. That side is raised off. You could get it, you could get that peg in a little bit, but I think everyone is so preoccupied with getting it pitched like to the ground, and then they go running to mummy crying when they've got a lot of condensation in there. Cynical Tony again. So obviously, if you don't have to pitch it right to the ground, then I would be quite happy just having it a few centimeters off the ground. That's pretty close. That's close. That's close. So the bits where I have got close to the ground. And that one, obviously you could get the peg in and get that closer, and you could get that, but these bits don't need to be as close. You've got some undergrowth here. Lass has even built a food wall You can see bits of her food in there. And she's got some shrubbery there that's keeping some of the draft off her. I've put a bed over there which you would have already seen, and she's not even used it. Oh my God. Now she's eating bits of... Lassie, why are you eating the log? That's part of their drainage thing there. Lassie's trying to eat a bit of the log there. All right, well, I am going to, because even with these gloves, I use these gloves to get water, and even with these, my fingers are starting to get quite cool. I think I need gloves that are suitable for Mars, I think, or wherever it's cold. I don't know whether Mars is pretty hot, isn't it? But I'm going to get it undercover, and unless I need a crap, that's it. All these YouTubers, they come out at night. Oh, sod that for a lot. Once I'm inside, like I said, unless I have to come out, then that's it. I'm staying undercover. Okay, all right, well, I'm going to get inside, and then, as the actress said to the bishop, and then we will, or is it the bishop saying to the actress, and then that's it. And then we're going to settle down for the evening. We've settled in camp, so that's our rubbish. I've taken my boots off and just put them there. Very impressed with those. They've been very comfortable. It'll be interesting to see how they get on in the snow when it's very cold. Well, when it's colder than this. My feet and hands definitely suffer. Hands particularly. I've got a medium super feet in there. I think I might take that super foot out and put a thinner carbon one in. It's thinner, so it won't be as insulated, but I'm half thinking that it'll take up less space, so the sock will have more room to fluff out a little bit, maybe. But comfort-wise, they're very comfortable. My feet are not used to such. I mean, it's not a completely stiff boot, but it's a pretty stiff boot. And my feet definitely aren't used to that level of stiffness, that is for sure. But they were more comfortable today, so maybe yesterday I'd walk them in a little bit. I was finding that my left foot particularly seemed to be getting a bit pressured, but I didn't notice that today, and we did a similar distance today. The only real difference is I wasn't carrying, you know, a pack today. So we'll monitor that going forward. I've put Lassie's food out, and she's had some of it there, and she's really just seems to have made a nest over there. You know, I point her in that direction. If it was, I mean, I'm not saying it's not really cold, but if it was really, really cold, then I'd have to get her on there, but she just seems to prefer over there, so I'm going to not worry about it. I think when I'm in Scotland with Chris, if we're on snow, then she's not really going to have much choice. We'll have to get her on that. But we're going to make a cup of tea. We've got our water. Obviously, Lass's pack there, my pack there. Everything was here. Nothing had been touched. I doubt anyone had even been this way. I've made the door marginally higher, but not very much higher. It's still quite low. Because what I did notice is, just as before I was getting into the trail star, you put your head just above the door, and this like really cold unpleasant wind just whips across your head. It's horrible. And then you duck down in here, and it's just like it's like being in a different world in here. I mean, like I said, we're pretty sheltered anyway, but there was just a really cold breeze that just went across the top. And yet, like I said, as soon as I was under here, it's just so unbelievably comforting and warm. Well, comparatively warm. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the jet boil on and have a cup of tea. It's not very late, it's 4:15, so it'll be dark in the next, I probably sunset is probably around about now, give or take a bit. It'll be dark fairly soon. Oh blimey, the sunset was 10 past. The further north you get, it must be earlier sunsets, because down south I'm sure it's a tiny bit later, but dusk is 4:52, so you've got quite a long dusk up here. So, you know, it's 4:15, so in the next half hour it'll be getting quite dimpsy, and then in the next 45 minutes it'll be dark. So this jacket, this one, I got this in the PhD sale about, I don't know, 7-8 years ago. Maybe longer than that. I don't wear it very often. This is I think this is the Yukon. So this is the -15 jacket. So this is the one that has the baffles inside it. And this is a size small, which I got, you know, like I said, a few years ago. I was getting small back then because it fitted, but maybe I should have got medium back then, but I'm starting to fit into the small, it's funny hand movement, I'm starting to fit into some of the small stuff that I had. Those trousers, they're small, and I'm fitting in these now. This is a pair of Arc'teryx Polartec something or other. I don't know what the Polartec is, but it's a Polartec soft shell, and they've actually been quite pleasant around here. They haven't been, I think, much warmer than they would be on too warm, but they've been fine. They've been quite comfy. I don't think I've ever taken them camping. I'll tell you, I was buying some of this stuff, you know, back in the day, and then just didn't really use it. I just, you know, found just other things, you know, that I used more. Or I was never quite sure with those trousers when to use them, you know, the temperature and weather, because they're not waterproof. So you still need waterproof trousers with them if it was to, you know, if it was to rain. But I have to admit, they've been very comfortable. And like I said, you can see how cold-blooded I am. So this is a -15 jacket, and it's probably about I'll bet it's about 2 degrees in here. It can't be less than 2. Okay, 1.7, 1.6, 1.7. So it's about 1.5, and it's I'm quite cozy. I'm not overly warm, and I've got about 3 layers under it. Okay. Oh, I need to get that kettle on. The only thing that's just, gloves are just awkward for pressing buttons. The GoPro conks out at about 35% in this. In this weather, when it's cold like this, it's conking out at 35%. And that's with the new Enduro battery. I don't know what the other thing I was going to say was now, I've forgotten. But I think I'm gonna do this jacket up. I'm not overly hot in it. I think I just need, to be smothered in feathers, I think. I always did fancy a nice bird, so there you go there. It's probably why. Alright. Okay, well, enough of Tony, as rude it is. We're going to get the kettle on, because I really think that's the next most important thing to do. We'll catch up a little bit later.